West Virginia.
Oh, wow.
Wow, welcome.
Just two right here, but we have a group of 26.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it like a vacation?
It's a school trip.
School trip?
We're school teachers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
Nice.
Lovely. So I take it's your first time?
Yes.
And Canterbury, yes.
For me, yes.
Yeah.
Well, who else do we have? We have you two guys. Yeah, where are you guys from? London. London.
Yeah.
What about you guys here? Bay, local.
Okay.
The same one.
From Nuneaton. Lovely. Well, welcome everyone. So just before we get too much further, I do have some health and safety information. Nothing too dramatic, don't worry, it's pretty much common sense. But you know, we are on a boat in a river, some things to consider. It's quite narrow, so please keep your hands and legs inside the boat because we might have to pull over to make way for passing boats, or we might have to get close to another vessel, and if you've got your hand outside, you might get it caught or trapped. Also, we are going under some low bridges like the one you see up ahead. So please do not stand up at any point during the tour. If you stand up when we're under a bridge, you're going to bang your head. Also, if you do stand up, the boat will rock like this, which increases the likelihood of someone falling in. And we don't actually want that to happen. Well, I don't, because it's a lot of paperwork for me, so I like it. And you don't, because obviously you're going to be cold and wet, so it's a lose-lose. Other than that, it's very safe. Sit back, relax, enjoy. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask me. If I don't know the answer, I'll do my best to make up a believable one. Yes, attention la tête. On your heads.
Okay.
So this bridge we're underneath is the King's Bridge. It's actually one of the UK's oldest working road bridges. So this part is the original. Dates back to 1134. So it's actually founded nearly 900 years ago. And the part of the bridge that you guys at the back are underneath, slightly more modern. It was built in the 18th century in 1769. So they actually extended the bridge by 10 feet to accommodate the increased traffic, which at the time was horse and cart. But because the original bridge was quite narrow, many of the horse and carts found their way into the river. So to stop this from happening, the bridge was extended. And up until about 1981, that bridge actually carried the main road from Dover to London, the A2. So it basically had heavy traffic driving every day over a 900-year-old bridge only 45 years ago. Quite mad. Thankfully, it's now pedestrianised. Watch out for the pigeons. They might look cute and cuddly. Don't make eye contact.
Oh, wow, there's a lot of traffic. So, this lovely building we've just floated out from underneath. It's known as the East Bridge Hospital. So it's called the East Bridge Hospital because it was built over the eastern arm of the river. But it was never actually a hospital in the traditional sense of the word. It comes from a Latin word, hospitae, which means guest or hospitality. As the building was once a place to stay for pilgrims visiting the city, where they would receive one night's free bed and board. So it's like a medieval bed and breakfast.
And it was originally founded in Canterbury in the year 1180. So it dates right back to the 12th century, the original part of the building. Not the part of the building that we just floated out from underneath. That was built in the late 18th century. And ahoy! Just need to do that to let people know that I'm coming. I'm not crazy. So yes, 1180 was quite an important year in the history of Canterbury, as it marked the 10-year anniversary of the death of a rather prominent public figure, a gentleman by the name of Thomas Becket. Have we heard this name before? Yes, you can't really come to Canterbury and not hear the name Thomas Becket. I'll keep it quite brief because you may have heard the story before. If you've been to the cathedral, I'm sure you have heard the story. So, but yeah, Thomas Becket was quite an interesting fellow. He was probably the most prominent religious figure in English history, despite the fact that he wasn't actually a religious man for most of his life. And so Becket was born in 1118 in London. He was born to a very wealthy family. His father was a wealthy merchant. Becket was sent off to France to be educated. And whilst in France, he met a young man called Henry. They became very close friends, and he would go on to be King Henry II. So when he became king, he brought Becket with him, and Thomas Becket became Chancellor of England. So he became pretty much overnight, he became incredibly wealthy and powerful. And Becket loved his life of wealth and power. Ahoy! And everything was great for Thomas Becket up until the former Archbishop of Canterbury died in 1161, which meant Henry, as the new king, he was tasked with finding a new archbishop. And Henry was quite an ambitious man. He wanted to reform the church. He wanted to gain more control. And he thought, how am I going to do that? The only way I can possibly do that is if I can employ someone as head of the church who I can control, who I can trust. Who better than your best friend? Thomas. Believe it or not, Thomas Becket was actually quite reluctant to take the position at first because he was not a religious man, so he didn't think that he was the correct candidate for the job. But unbeknownst to him, that actually made him the perfect candidate for the job, because he would do exactly what the king asked of him, and the king would gain more control. And Becket resisted the temptation to become archbishop up until the king mentioned that it will be a nice wage increase for you, Thomas. And Thomas was like, you know, maybe I could get behind this God stuff. And he became archbishop, and everything was rosy for the king for a short time. But the longer Becket was archbishop, the more religious he became. So he started rejecting his life of wealth and power, and he lived a life more in alignment with his newfound religious beliefs, which was basically poverty. He would drink only water. He would sleep on the floor of the cathedral. And Henry heard about his friend's change in behaviour, and he grew quite concerned about him. And he grew even more angry when Thomas Becket started protecting the church from the king and ignoring his friends, which is exactly what Henry did not want to happen. So on one particular occasion, Becket just excommunicated